Hi, my name is Tyrese Simon, news writer for SEScoops. A couple of months ago, myself and SEScoops started this series to get to know. We put a tweet out. We said, who would the people like to hear from? And almost unanimously, it was the A Show. And then I thought to myself, if we're going to do the A Show, you got to get the War Report. And so, ladies and gentlemen, today I have Justin, Cyrus, Mills, Quan of the A Show brand. How you guys doing?
We good. What up? He let us in through the back because they don't often let us in through the front. You feel me?
This is the first time we've been on.
Yeah.
All together in a very, very long time. We work completely different schedules.
Right. Oh, so this is special.
Yeah. Once in maybe I don't want to say once in a lifetime because it might happen again soon. But definitely like very, very special for sure.
Nice. How you guys doing? How your mental health? How's the day going? What's going on?
Man, I always have fluctuating. Man, listen, you saw Quan rub his hands. We always got we got fluctuating mental health.
I'm doing fantastic.
Look at Cyrus. Look at Cyrus, man.
I'm doing great.
I want what he's got. I want whatever he got. That's what I want.
I think we all good. I think that in terms of just like where we at as a brand, I think we all like pretty happy where we're at. I think just in life in general, like, you know, there's always an opportunity for growth. And I think that all four of us, we certainly look for that within our brand and within our personal lives. And I think that's why we all work so well together.
Yeah, definitely. My dude just got married just not too long ago. How are you feeling?
Yeah, 2 months in. It was just the 2-month anniversary. I think I had taken my first break off the A Show in years, you know, just took two, like I think I even recorded the week of the wedding, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
I think yeah.
I recorded the week, so I only took 1 week off. It was great. It was kind of different, but it was definitely like a a fantastic experience. I would not wish the week of it on anyone, but I would definitely wish the actual event on people. But it's great, you know. I love my wife, and we're happy, man.
How's the adjustment period been?
It's been pretty easy. Like, she's my best friend, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, she's always been someone I can joke with and someone that has been there for me and vice versa. So I don't think there's been much of an adjustment other than the fact that we're trying to find a new place to live now. So like this is going to be the real test of, you know, the strong will survive here. It's been stressful, but I think we applied to a place. We're waiting to hear back. So hopefully we get it.
Good. We talked about it earlier. You're from LA, right?
Yeah, I'm from Virginia.
Right.
I live in LA. Yeah.
You live in LA. Cyrus, you are in Miami, right?
Yes, correct. I live in Miami, born and raised.
Mills, we're neighbors. We're both from New York.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I like that.
And then Quan, you're from Connecticut, so you're the odd man out.
Yeah, man. I've been in Connecticut most of my life. Born in Jersey. All my family's out in Jersey, Jersey, New York. But yeah, I've been in CT most of my life.
Man, you tri-state, bro. You get hot 97 like everybody else. Man.
No, I don't. I don't get not in my part of CT. You don't get hot 97.
Jesus Christ.
He's in New London, all right?
I'm closer to like Rhode Island than I am New York. Like, I'm like all the way on the east coast of Connecticut. So
you don't get the privileges then.
Yeah, I don't get that.
You learn something new every day. You know, this is very sad. You'll get to hear Funk Flex, man.
No bombs going off on your radio station.
I heard enough. After what was the Jay-Z Kanye joint, the Otis joint?
Yeah.
When he played it for 20 minutes.
Real hip hop.
But I mean, justified.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Justified. All right, let's get right into it. I wanted to know, you guys, just off the bat, how did this podcast, the A Show, get started? How did the War Report then get started?
Man, the legendary origins of Justin calling someone and telling them they're doing a podcast against their will. That is literally what it is. I actually had a podcast a couple of years ago with one of my close friends, Arthur A+. And we talked about wrestling. It was called Voice of the Voiceless. I was a huge Punk mark at the time. I think around like 2014 we started after Punk left, and we were just trying to make sense of the whole thing. It was a very like, niche. Like it wasn't a lot of people doing podcasts at the time. You know what I mean? There were very few people doing it, and there were very few Black people doing it. So, that podcast had grown into other things, and I stopped doing wrestling altogether. I stopped talking about wrestling, even though I loved watching it. I was at the time watching New Japan. I was watching Impact. I was watching everything at the time. Like I really do think it was kind of a golden era, at least for me, between like 2014, 2016, to just watch everything. So one day I said, you know what, man, I want to start a wrestling podcast again, and I need a co-host. And I've known Meals for quite some time. We worked on a site called Rasta Rap. It was headed up by Ernest Estamine and Kaz and Emilio Sparks and all of them. And we were kind of the what could you say, like we were kind of like the young boys on there. I mean, we were Meals taking a face. He's
I mean, no, it's true.
We were the young boys.
Yeah. That was the first place I got my feet wet with everything. So it's definitely true.
Yeah. So like we were the young boys there, but that had kind of dissolved. And I was like, we never got to do what we wanted to do. And ultimately I wanted to be on that podcast. I wanted to kind of make my mark and be next to those guys. And they had their own plan. So I said, let's start our own thing. So I want to say it was right before Survivor Series 2017. I called Meals and I said, hey, let's do a podcast together. And he's doing 2 belts and he's doing all this other stuff that he was already doing. Right. And he was just like, I don't have the time. And I said, in so few words, I said, man, you ain't P. Diddy. You ain't Diddy. You can do this. And so that's how the A show started. And this is literally, we would record while I was at work. I would be at work recording and I'd be like, oh, I'm going to go on my lunch break. And at the place I was in, the building I was in, they had empty floors on the 7th and 8th floor. I'd go to the empty floors, disappear for 2 hours, and it would just be me and Meals recording the show. Or I'd be at home, and this is kind of even before COVID, me and Meals were already remote. You know what I mean? So it was very much like when COVID hit, it was just like us, regular day for us. You know what I mean? Like we were already doing this. So we had just really made a mark doing that. And I want to say it was like a year later, we said, we got to expand this thing. We got to really do more with this brand. And we started the War Report around, was it around, it was just NXT at one point, wasn't it?
No.
Yeah, well, it went through multiple iterations.
It went through the call up. Then it kind of became, it went through the War Report. But just to kind of piggyback on Justin's story, like, absolutely, that's how I got coerced into doing the A show. And again, not having the time and stuff like that, like I had various things going on in my life as well, so we'd have to find the time. So it's like, along with it, I'm also recording on the clock. Like I'm also like disappearing from my job for like 2 hours because apparently I could at the time, and disappearing for 2 hours. There's a studio on site that I could just go in, knock out an episode, and I'm doing it there too. And it's humble beginnings. From like the first episode we did it, where essentially like I'm just on the phone and he's recording, he puts the phone by the computer and we're recording it like that. That's how kind of like,
wow.
And I listened to it and I was like, I know. I was like, yo, it's kind of ghetto.
Audio must have been crazy.
Hey,
but the thing is, it's like,
it didn't really sound that bad, bro.
It didn't sound that bad. And also like the conversation is really, really good. I haven't gone back to that first episode in a while, but it's like really, really good conversation. That's why I kind of, wanted to continue it. But yeah, the transition from all different shows. We knew we wanted an NXT show. We knew that we didn't really want to do a second show, and that's where Cyrus comes in for the War Report.
Yeah, the War Report kind of. I'll lead you in, Cyrus. I'll lead you in, tag you in. So it came from, there was multiple different hosts. Cyrus is at least maybe the third host of the show, and I had met Cyrus sometime in like 2017, I believe. We were playing Neo on PS4, and
we just played a lot of video games.
We played a lot of video games, and that friendship grew. And I kind of, one thing I say about every gentleman on this phone or on this call right now is that like I see something in everybody that I come across, and I see something great in all of them. And with Cyrus, I saw, oh, he's opinionated, and a lot of people might not like it, but I'm the same way. You know what I mean? So like, why not give him a voice to kind of expand on that and be himself? You know what I mean? And so I said, Cyrus, you got this show. You can do it. And I think it was very tough for us. And this is gonna be funny. It was very tough for us to find the perfect co-host for Cyrus because he's a very acquired taste. But I'm glad that we found one in Quan, and I think it works best that way.
What is it? Yeah, the call-up went through like multiple iterations, and then when AEW first got announced, we were just joking, we were talking about it. It hasn't started yet, so like we didn't really have like strong opinions on it. Right. And then we just talked about like, oh, who would do a dual show, like talk about NXT and AEW. And I was optimistic. I was just like, sure, I would love to help out with the network. I'm big fans of these guys, and I liked being on podcasts. Like Justin said, I'm very opinionated, and right. Just add a different perspective. And then when the time came around, we were just like, oh, just coming up with names. We found our first co-host in Mirjani Rawls. Great author. I believe he's at The Root currently, still doing great things. And then after that, kind of just got too busy around that time, and then I was left alone doing I think the War Report era where I was recording alone was definitely the toughest era, but it helped out. I think I could add that into script writing. And then I think it was just like the summer of like 2019, closer to the end, we were just like, circling like through hosts or like guest hosts for the shows, kind of just like looking for that perfect third spot. And I would say out of all the guests, like no disrespect to everybody else on the show, but I had a lot of fun recording with Quan.
Oh, okay.
And then I was just like, yeah, we should make this like full, like long term.
I came in. Was it summer? I don't even know when it was. I think it might have been summer last year. So I think, or 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
I don't even know how long I've been on this shit.
It's been 2 years.
But yeah, I've been a fan of all these guys forever. I've been following Meals and Justin on Twitter for God knows how long. I listened to A Show first episode day one. I was in there. I was in the group chat with 10 different iterations of the group chat we've gone through. Now this Discord that you can join if you join the Patreon, of course. And yeah, I was just really a big fan of them. I think I was on A Show one time. I believe it was with Meals and Justin. We weren't on. It was me and Chris Novak, correct? And then shout to Novak. And then I was on A Show a couple times, maybe like I'm not A Show, War Report like one or two times, and then eventually, Cyrus hit me up. He was like, "You know what, man? You just want to do it full time?" And I was like, "Let's do it." Whatever.
This is when you thought about doing the comeback spot, and I was just like, "Yeah, I would love to help out with the comeback spot as well." So like, if you want to like come on the War Report and like plug the your little wrestle side channel, I was like, yeah, let's go.
So initially the comeback spot was going to be my YouTube channel that I was going to talk about wrestling on, but it just never came to fruition. And then I ended up just doing the War Report. So I was like, you know what? I ain't doing no YouTube, man.
And now you just on Twitter riling people up just on the regular.
Riling people up. Engagement farming, as Cyrus would say.
I just love how you all just came together and how the A Show brand itself just kind of grew. It started as you just Justin and Mills, you just being friends and just wanted to do a wrestling show, and then it just spinned off to Cyrus, you being friends, and then now it's been up to Quan. It's just, I think that's really where, and you get that when you hear the podcast as well. It's friends talking about wrestling. Mm-hmm. It's not like this is the agenda that we have till today and like that, like other podcasts have, but it generally sounds like I'm listening in on what you guys would be talking about if the camera was off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that people don't understand or don't realize, not understand but don't realize, is that the A Show is the genesis for everything. Without the A Show, there's no, I do another podcast called the Black Print with Josh Pease. There's no that without the A Show. There's no a lot of things without the A Show. It literally is the 6 degrees of separation. It's the umbrella that everything falls under, and it's been the most successful thing and the most lucrative thing that we've done to this point, because it is just taking our friends and doing this and bringing everyone in. Like, the A show, really, you could say it started from a group chat that me and Mills and Cyrus are all in. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of formed itself where it's like we're able to really navigate having our own media network, and this is something we never knew how to do. Is we're learning about it on the fly. Like even off camera, we're telling you, oh, we're trying to do this now, and you know what I'm saying. Like it's a lot of things that we're still trying and trying to get right.
Yeah, and to add to that, with just you guys being friends and having that camaraderie, there's also passion there. Like you talked about, you doing the podcast from your job and having to navigate that and just like having to mix in those times. And of course, you all have your own lives outside the podcast as well. And just having to mix that in and trying to get all the work that you're getting done. You also have the Patreon and stuff like that. You also have other podcasts that you're also working on. So I think it's a lesson for a lot of content creators and for fans is when you mix passion with originality and wanting to do things because you love it, you get a great product, which is the A Show and the War Report.
And also just to kind of add to that, I want to add consistency as well,
right?
Because we take kind of pride in the fact that we're approaching our 250th episode real soon, and we have not missed a week. There has not been 1 week where we've taken off, and a lot of it's Justin will take off 1 week, I'll handle it and with another co-host, and I might do the same. But we take pride in just the consistency of this, and I think that's an important factor, especially when doing content creation and doing probably more podcasts, because people can at least set their watch and know when the A show is going up. And probably the best things that we get in terms of feedback and stuff like that is that people can't wait until they wake up in the morning, Wednesday morning, the show is ready, the show is there for them, they're ready to listen to it, and the entire experience is there. So I take a lot of pride in the consistency that we've had pretty much over the last 5 years.
And I can tell you that I'm one of those people who look forward to I get the Patreon feed, so I get it on Tuesday. But I'm one of those people who look forward to Meals and Justin and what they have to say. I'm still fans of these guys, even to this day. Even though I work with them and I work with Sarah, I'm still all fan with these guys. I think this is. I don't listen to a lot of wrestling podcasts. It's really just A Show, and maybe I listen to clips for some other podcasts every once in a while. But the only wrestling podcast I listen to consistently is stuff on the A Show network. So Rewriters Room as well. Shout out to everybody at Rewriters Room. But yeah, just like I'm still fan. I think these guys are some of the best podcasters in the world, honestly, in my eyes, when it comes to professional wrestling. Absolutely.
And you were becoming that. You and Cyrus are becoming that as well. You know what I'm saying? And it really is like the reason why we're so consistent is because one thing, and I don't even know if y'all feel the same way. It's like people actually wait for this. You know what I mean? And regardless of all the stuff that might be said or all the whatever people say about us or whatever people say about anything, there are people that like they cherish and they appreciate their opinions and the viewpoints. Like we look at it like really, like you said, Tyrese, like we're friends talking about wrestling. You know what I mean? Once that mic is off, I say this all the time. Once that mic is off, we're back to being friends, and that's what it is. It's in the air. You know what I mean? Like we look at it from a different perspective, and no, we might not always agree. Of course, we might not always agree. We don't always agree on everything, but we still got a respect for each other, and we still know that we're in this together. And I think that's the most important part.
No, yeah, absolutely. And again, like I said, I think the best content comes from just originality and when you have genuine passion behind it. And you could tell when you listen to an episode of the A Show, listen to an episode of the War Report, that it's genuinely guys that are friends that are actually talking about wrestling, that can make it entertaining, that can also talk about hard topics as well. But the fans are kind of now immersed in what the group chat or your culture, and now they feel a part of it as well. They feel like they're a part of the family. So I think a lot of podcasts attempt it. Very few can actually nail having a podcast where it feels like a family as a fan. I think you guys nailed that.
Yeah, no, it's important. Yeah, it's important that everyone feels a part of it. That's why when people join the Discord from the Patreon, they're like, damn, I don't ever want to go to another group chat again. You know what I mean? Because you guys are like, right. You know what I'm saying? Like you guys notice that whenever people get into the Discord, everyone's just they're comfortable. You know what I mean? And they immediately gravitate towards certain things, and everyone's having conversations. It's like the most lit, literally one of the most lit chats I've ever been in my life. Like there's something always being talked about. There's someone always arguing. We got Stat Guy Greg in there. He's swinging for Bret Hart, and we're always talking about certain stuff, and we're getting on Quan about some silly shit that he's talking about, some match that nobody watched.
Nobody watched.
But like at the end
He's
of the
talking
day,
about AEW, which is wild.
I
That's what he's
want to save
referencing.
the AEW talk because I do have to. I'm not gonna press you, Quan, but I have some questions.
Go ahead, we can talk about it. Ain't no problem.
But no, our listeners are family, and
Right.
I think it's important that people like realize that, especially people that might not know who we are, and are just hearing about us for the first time. You know what I'm saying? Like our listeners are family, and you guys would be a part of our family as well. Like you might be screaming at your speakers listening to me or Meals, but at the end of the day, we treat it with respect, and you know what I'm saying, we welcome the conversation.
When I remember when we were making the Discord, I made it in like 20 minutes. I didn't think that it would really expand and be like this amazing setting that it's in. Like whatever social media might be going crazy, and then you have this safe bunker to go into.
Right.
It's not a safe space, like Cyrus says.
It's not a safe space, absolutely not. But if you just want to hide away from whatever crazy stuff is going on social media, that it's a safe space in that regard.
I would like to circle back for one thing. You mentioned Rasta Rap, right? And I feel like a lot of podcasters, especially Black podcasters, I feel like everybody always points to Rasta Rap as kind of like the podcast that kind of put everybody on. That the podcast where it's like it has an influence on other like Black podcasters and content creators in wrestling, where I feel like they felt empowered by what they did. Can you speak to just how influential Rasta Rap was to you?
It was influential for myself and Mills because we saw it on the ground floor, and a lot of the lessons I learned there were lessons that I think when me and Mills started this whole thing, we said some of the stuff we're going to do and some of the stuff we're never going to do. You know what I'm saying? Most of all, being inclusive to like some of the people that are there and giving everyone a chance and giving everybody a shot. You know what I mean? Like I think one of the most important things that we learned there was you got to pay a lot of this stuff forward. I think we did get a lot of opportunities, but I also feel as though we long to have a bigger shot at certain things, and I think that's where the motivation came from and the passion came from watching Kaz and Emilio do it and saying, yo, we want to do that. You know what I mean? And seeing how they navigated, but also getting to work with them and being under the learning tree for a lot of the stuff they did. And I'll always be appreciative of what Kaz and Emilio and even Ernest, you know what I'm saying, and all of them taught me, because a lot of the people from that day, whether it be Jeff J, Bill Handstock, a lot of the people there I still talk to today, and they're like my big bros, you know what I mean, and they're always congratulating us and giving us our flowers. So I think that in terms of influence, it's different because we got to see behind the scenes of it, and we got to see, like I say, we got it on the ground level, and I don't think a lot of people like know that, like that's our lineage, like we've been around this for a while.
Right.
Yeah, and I think one of the key things of Rasta Rap too is that it coined the phrase, right? Like I think Black fans just kind of in general were looking for kind of like longing within the wrestling community, and you never really felt that. You would see news reports I would talk about of like, WWE trying to reach out that, Hispanic audience and stuff like that, but you never really felt like they were trying to speak to you in any kind of way. And I think one of the key things that Rasta Rap did was kind of like coin the term of like, yes, this is what it kind of is. This is what we represent. This is the cross generation between Wale, Smoke DZA, Action Bronson, and everyone, and all these, rap people that we love, but also the culture of like hip hop just in general infused with professional wrestling. And it was kind of something that wasn't really done before. And as we were working on Rasta Rap during the time, we are just kind of figuring out, all right, how do we make this voice real? Like how do we truly, and it's new to be able to kind of do that, of taking like hip hop stuff, because usually, wrestling, everything pay-per-view wise and stuff like that, especially the soundtrack to wrestling was for a long time rock music or pop music, or something along those lines. But trying to find that twinge and that chord of like hip hop, and not even just music, but culture in general to fit within. I think that's what Wrestle Rap helped cultivate. And that's why you do see, you know, the black announce tables. That's why you do see the black wrestlings. That's why you see all these kind of like podcasts who are trying to infuse their own culture now, infuse our culture really, into the wrestling world. And now we're seeing it kind of look back at us, and we're seeing opportunities given. We're really kind of seeing now a face for us in professional wrestling.
Yeah, I think
you could say, yeah, Rasta Rap started. I mean, Rasta Rap definitely coined and started a lot of that, to be honest with you.
it did, and I think that again, I look at nothing. It's in terms of what I've done for the past 5 years. There are a few moments where I feel like the most proud, and I'm glad that these two are on this call. And one thing I did say was like, you know, we always wanted to give people opportunity, because me and Mills we were hungry. We were younger back then, and we understand that we got, you know, you got to feed the young guys. You know what I mean? You got to make sure that they feel as though they're part of things. And I think that's where we had our frustrations at the time. So like one of the proudest moments for me, being someone who thinks of themselves as kind of a leader and someone who you know, these people, a mentor, and something that a lot of the people on our network can come and talk to, was seeing Juan and Cyrus have an interview with Carmelo Hayes from last year. And sitting back, and you know, I know Cyrus is probably like, I don't know if I can do this. Quan's like, I've never done this. You know what I'm saying? And be like, I have no good, but you know, at the same time, me being like, you guys got this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys, if you guys have watched me and Mills do this multiple times and never, you know what I'm saying, never broke a sweat. And these two guys, they never broke a sweat. And I was so proud of them. More proud than anything. I was on the call. I felt like I shouldn't have even been on it. You know what I mean? Like, but we were there. And, you know, after the fact, I told them both, I was like, you guys did a fantastic job. You know what I mean? And I think like that's important, not just with, you know, people you work with, but for Black men, uplifting other Black men, you have to, you know, I want to tell these guys they did a great job, because we don't hear that enough. You know what I mean? And again, we want to shift the narrative. We want to shift the conversation. You know what I mean? And I think that that's something that's important here, is like, these guys are my family. You know, so when they win, we all win. And that's just an example of just like how things have been different since we've been at Rasta Rap. Like we want to cultivate these guys, and we want to make them better. Because I say this all the time, I can't keep Cyrus forever. We can't keep Quan forever if they want to go off and do their own thing. But we want to give them the tools to make sure that they're successful when that's the time. And I think that's the one thing that we learned from Rasta Rap.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, what's that?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, for, you know, Mills and Justin, Wrestle Rap is like their, you know, kind of like their ground floor, like their launch into this whole thing. But for me, it's the A show. I'm relatively new to wrestling, so what is it? I would say you guys are probably like the second wrestling podcast I ever heard.
Okay.
And now I'm here, which is ridiculous in hindsight.
You said you're new to wrestling. How new are you?
2015. I was just bored at home. I saw everybody on Twitter talking about wrestling. I got a WWE Network code, and I saw what is it? I saw Undertaker and Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania.
Ooh.
And
Ooh.
hold on. It was the end of the match. So I saw Undertaker, and I was just like, oh, I remember him. That's cool. And then I saw John Cena and, you know, Rusev come on the tank, and I was just like, oh, this is really cool. And then I saw Seth Rollins, you know, do the heist of the century, and then I was hooked after that. So
that's one of the more fun things about the podcast is that, you know, like me, I've been watching wrestling since '99.
Right.
Justin's been watching wrestling since the '90s. Neil's been watching wrestling from the '90s. So talking to Cyrus, it's a cool perspective because he's not a lifelong fan like we are. So he sees things from a whole different light than I would see things.
Right.
But then other time where I have to explain to him things in the past that he may not have known about.
Right.
And it makes it really fun for me just to see that different perspective. It's something really interesting that you might not get from a lot of other wrestling podcasts, because most people who do wrestling podcasts probably been watching wrestling their whole lives for the most part. You know what I mean? So it's really fun, actually, honestly.
We've been making a profit off that with that part, making legendary runs, spot callers, just watching everything that is old, new, or just something I've never seen in my life.
That's one thing that I think is so underrated about like not even underrated, but I think it's the most exciting part about really signing up for a lot of it and buying into a lot of stuff that we do. Like Cyrus and Quan back and forth infinitely. Like me and Mills, we're kind of like old dogs. Like we've been doing this a while. We barely even argue anymore. When we do, like it's like a thing when we argue. You know what I mean? Like we gotta be like, oh, they argued again. But like Cyrus and Quan, they really go. They go at each other, and like when it's Wednesday night at 8 p.m. and Dynamite's on, and Cyrus is literally breaking down all the reasons why things are silly, and they do it on Tuesday too. That's the best part about it, is that like it's not just AEW, they do it too. They have equal complaints towards NXT as well. And I think, even though I had wondered a while, I was like, NXT is so different than what it was. It's not black and gold anymore. How will this work with AEW? And I gotta like commend these two for managing to change the conversation and the feel of the show, because like they're not comparing them directly anymore. They're really reviewing them on their own merits. And I think that's the most interesting part about the War Report, is like, if you guys are love hearing me and Mills talk about all of that stuff on the main roster stuff, you got to sit through Raw every single week, and you know what I'm saying, you get them talking about something that's kind of lively, and you know what I'm saying, a lot of the stuff with Cyrus is new, and a lot of stuff with Cyrus he's picking it apart from the outside looking in because he's so new. You know what I mean? So like that's why it's like with a lot of stuff that we watch, we just say it is what it is. We've been watching this shit for 20, 30 years.
I can't do that. No,
there's nothing we haven't seen. We've seen everything wrestling has had to offer at this point.
Exactly. And
that doesn't make it right.
but I love the juxtaposition, and like I think that what makes the A show work is that we come at it from a different point of view. Like I think you know how it is. Like you listen to a lot of these podcasts and they complain.
Right.
They put together ridiculous scenarios. They say all types of
stuff like that.
Yeah, like stuff like that. Like we do a little bit of that too, but I think we come at it from like, listen, I'm a 7-8 year veteran in marketing. Mills has done his own thing. Cyrus and Quan, they're building up their cachet of what they're doing outside of this, but we look at it from a different point of view. You know what I mean? Like I look at things from a progressive point of view at times, and some people might not like that, and you're completely okay to have that opinion. But one thing that I will say about the four of us, we're gonna say what we feel. I tell it like it is, and listen, I think what wrestling the community has made it really bad for. You used to be able to be a fan, you know what I'm saying, and now, and this is with anything. This is with video games. This is with music. Like you're not allowed to be a fan anymore. You have, and I think that there's been polls, and they've stretched so far where you can't be agreeable anymore. It has to be classic or trash. It has to be right or like there is no gray area within this conversation where it's like I can enjoy this thing and I can enjoy it more than that. That doesn't mean that I'm completely with the hiring practices or the firing practices and stuff like that. Like they made it really a bad thing to be a fan. So it's like if you say I hate WWE, there's people like, wow, why do you hate it? It's all this other, blah blah blah. I don't like AEW. You will get thousands of people telling you, you know what I'm saying, why you hate you. Like I like Tyrese. If I was to show you my mentions,
death threats and all.
Someone threatened to kill me a couple of days ago. You know what I'm saying? Like I could believe it. As sad as it sounds, I could honestly believe that. Just because of, again, you guys and a lot of it's not you guys, a lot of other podcasters are doing too. But you guys are able to take serious topics and come from it from a standpoint of just actually thinking about it and having legit points as to why things are the way they are. And I think that kind of puts a target on you as well, because you're not going with the norm of what everybody else on social media is thinking. Cyrus, I think a couple of days ago you brought up a point where I think you talked about how I think it was either Goldberg or somebody was talking about, I wish I had the tweet in my head, where you talked about how fans will complain about how this is one way where they don't just sit down and enjoy the match or sit down and enjoy the fun.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, I think it was something to that effect. I think it was either it was regarding Goldberg, I believe.
The Jay, they were talking about Jay breaking that record, and it was
and
it was like it's such an inconsequential thing.
Yeah,
to
it was
talk
so
about.
weird.
It turned into Goldberg was never good, and it's just buddy, I was alive during that period. the Georgia Dome Nitro, you couldn't have looked up. I went to school the next day. There huge Goldberg fans. You know what I'm saying? We weren't, like, again, you can't rewrite history to make the guy whack. Right. You know what I mean? Like, there's just no history that you can do, but they try and do that. Like, I think another really, there's been a couple kind of thunderbolt moments, the Bianca Belair situation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh man.
I said, I think I got mad for 5 minutes and I said, oh, the rest of the show's on. You know what I mean? But I think that was years and years and not years, but months and months of hatred. And I think one of the best conversations we had, it was on our Armenia preview show. Mm-hmm. We talked with Mimi from Black Wrestling, and we kind of talked through that situation. And I had to understand why people were so histrionic and they were holding on to that moment while still saying, at the end of the day, if this had happened to another performer that was not Bianca Belair, would you have the same reactions? Would you not see that this person has gone undefeated the whole year? I had to break down the matches. I had to break down, listen, she's beaten everybody. Why do y'all still think she's gonna lose? And you have to understand, it's like, you know, because we don't get a lot. And I was just like, well, that's not Vince McMahon and all, that's not their fault. You know what I'm saying? They still got a story and they got a story to build. They have people to entertain. We can't be bringing real life stuff where there's nothing there that has any type of, you know what I'm saying? Any type of,
yeah.
To be fair though, like you got to think about it from that standpoint. We're talking about like the first Bianca Belair win, right? When she beat Sasha, yeah. I think a lot of it, I think that's where the clash comes in, is where you come from the standpoint, and Mills, you come from the standpoint, and Quan, you come from the standpoint. Cyrus, you're about, like 7 years in. But you guys come from the standpoint where you guys kind of grew up watching it, and kind of you grew up watching the Nitros, the early WWE.
I watched the finger poke of doom today. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And I was just like, listen, that's worse.
Like, but you're coming from the
why?
You come from the standpoint where you watch those things growing up, and you kind of understand the wrestling business, and also your background kind of understands the business behind the business also. Mm-hmm. Where a lot of people kind of, like I said, are reactionary to things, but also they kind of go with the day-to-day of what things are, mm-hmm. and not what the history has been. So right. When you say Bianca Belair, how much of a big deal it was, because they just came from Kofi Kingston, how the Kofi Kingston room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that, how big Kofi Kingston moment was, and then it felt like it was squandered, and I think it was like less than 15 seconds.
They had to they had to end the show that night. It was going over. You can't go over on Fox. That's the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth. They were about to go.
You serious? The truth.
But yeah, I'm serious. They had to end the show. It wasn't supposed to be like that.
I gotta go back and rewatch.
It was 9:59. Yeah. I think it was 9:59, and they had to get Kane out. Remember, after that was the real moment, was to get Kane out. The show was going over.
They rushed him right out.
The Rock promo went over. The Rock segment went over. That segment was like 20 minutes. And when I was in the building for that, and I was like, this is going a little too long. You know how The Rock do, but they let him rock because it wasn't. They also had that Kevin Owens Shane McMahon match that also went over. A lot of stuff went over that night. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I believe the show was going over time. You can't overrun on Fox.
Yeah. I never thought about that. I gotta go back and rewatch the show.
Nobody does.
But that's important though, because like you get caught up in it where it's like Kofi Kingston lost in 15 seconds or what it was. And granted, they could probably pace that show a lot better, and how it was going about it, but again, that's a great point. That didn't even consider.
It's their first show on Fox. They had The Rock, all that stuff. I remember being there that night. I was there. My man's Cam. We went there that night, and I remember like a couple people were like, the Rock segment. They was literally like, hurry this shit up. But he had to get a show. I mean, Becky came out, I think, right? Like there was a lot of stuff that happened that night.
They beat up Baron Corbin.
Yeah, and not trying to defend it, but it's like I think WWE is a victim of their own circumstances that they create themselves. Yeah. So with Bianca, it was like, and I told myself I'm never talking about this again. Well, with Bianca, it's a victim of circumstance because they never explain it. Me and Mills had interviewed her the week of SummerSlam going into it, and Sasha was, they weren't saying she was on the card. She ends up not showing up. But that's the moment that no one talks about, is that they had to do something on the fly that day
Yeah.
And they said, well, we had a plan to bring this person in. It is what it is. Yes, you're supposed to get mad at that. I don't know you're supposed to get that mad about it because we knew where this is going to end up. And it was like, I don't even know if you've seen people saying, well, Bianca's not going to win the Elimination Chamber. She's not going to win it. When she got kicked out of Royal Rumble, when she got knocked out of Royal Rumble, it was like, it's over. It's going to be, some people were thinking it was going to be Lita. I would shudder to say that I feel like the Bianca Rise was the most simple booking that they did all last year, and no one paid attention to it because they were so worried about her not getting to WrestleMania. It was so simple. It was more simple than Seth's booking, which pissed people off, even though they never promised you anything. It was more frustrating than Kevin Owens. We never saw Stone Cold the whole time, and they still tried to sell you on that match, whatever it was going to be. It was so simple, and no one wanted to pay attention to it because people were so caught up on the 26 seconds. That's why when they did the match, they called back the 26 seconds. I'm telling you, I was in the building. Cyrus is in the building. When she hit that manhandle slam, you could feel the ground shake. When she kicked out of that shit, my ears damn near blew out. That was what they, and whether plans changed or not, it ended up happening the way that it should have happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they're saying the asterisk of, well, plans changed. Well, it changed in favor of what y'all wanted in the first place.
Right,
anyway,
right.
Because it made the most sense to do that. So
I think, what is it? People want it to be right, but about the worst situation. Like, it was just like, Bianca has to lose so I could let you know that WWE's racist. And it's just like, why don't you just root for Bianca than rather than being like defeated,
And to your point, Cyrus,
that's real.
There's so much proof. There's a lot of proof that could prove that without them having to bury someone who they, they clearly see a lot in. She's on all the damn posters. She's at the NASCAR thing every damn week, at the ESPYs. I was like, bro, you know what I'm saying? They see a lot of, in her. It's like, it felt less like support for her and more like a self-fulfilling prophecy, where it was just like, why do you want this to happen?
Like you like, I don't know where this like defeatist like mentality really comes from in the community, because I don't see how you are a very, you're supportive of Bianca or you love Bianca Belair, and then like at every moment or every turn you thought that she was going to fail rather than just rooting for her.
Yeah, I think that, again, you're right. And I think that people kind of I look at this like a TV show, right? And obviously it's not as prestige as Better Call Saul, or I started Succession again. I'm watching that now. Obviously it's not that. It's my trash TV. It's my trash TV for the week. I am not looking for, I'm sorry, y'all. I ain't looking for that type of writing. And if you look at how people react to it, the arenas they selling out, the stadium they selling out, a lot of people don't care either. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's like, if it's as simple to me where it's like, okay, they're clearly, they got a lot going for her or something like that. Like, their book, and let me be clear, their booking is awful. I think the TVs that lead to pay-per-views are some of the worst shit that I watch every single week. Let me just be clear. I think I have the most enjoyment watching like new people in NXT because it's like people figuring it out. Yeah, and you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people on main roster, they figured it out. A lot of times they're coasting. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me be clear. I'm not defending the TV, but I'm like, the big moments, they do it well. I was at WrestleMania this year. They did the big moments better than they've ever done. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's stuff that they did this year that people are going to remember forever. But the TV to get up to there, atrocious. Me and Mills were like, is this going to be a good show? I was like, it better be. We spent all this money to go. But it ended up being like one of my favorite Manias. So,
Also, another thing that, like, this is the most Black representation in wrestling in general, like on TV, that we've ever had. So people got to realize is, if your favorite Black wrestler got put in the bullshit booking, it's not because they're Black. It's just because every wrestler go through some bullshit booking at some point in their career. And everybody's gone through it. Stone Cold, I was just in the Discord talking the other day about Stone Cold's last couple months in like 2003, and who he was wrestling on the house shows and shit. They had him wrestling like Big Show and Ric Flair. I'm like, this is Stone Cold Steve Austin. So like, everybody goes through bullshit booking sometimes, and sometimes you have your ups, sometimes you have your down, but you just you can't take it too personally when it comes to just, wins and losses in a show.
If anything, If anything, Quan, it shows that we've come a long way because Black people are now involved in the bullshit booking and we're not in the
exactly.
opening.
Yeah, exactly. We're not just on the opener or whatever, or shucking and jiving, doing who knows, but we're involved in the in the bullshit booking.
Because you don't want it to be like, you don't want it to be a point where it's like, well, you don't want to be up to a point where it's like, yo, well, we don't ever want Bianca Belair to lose. She's got to lose sometime.
Right.
Everyone has to lose. Hulk Hogan had to lose one day. That's a terrible example. Stone Cold had to lose one day.
He did lose though.
But it's like everyone had to lose. But it's like I don't want that. You don't want to be too inclusive that you're exclusive. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like we don't want everyone to get everything to a point where it's like I think people like look at. I don't want to bring up the two people, the two women, but it's like you don't want. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like everyone deals with bad, fucked up, stupid booking, but you don't. It's good to know that everyone else is dealing with it too. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like the Kofi thing is not exclusive. There's Brock done beat other people in 2 seconds. Now he beat up Alpha Academy. I thought that was dumb. You know what I'm saying? Omos beat the Street Profits. They both Black, and I said that was the dumbest thing I ever seen on Raw in a year because they got a match at SummerSlam and he don't. I hated that. I hated that shit. Like that was dumb as hell. I'm sorry.
No. But I think if you're somebody that's new, watching the Get to Know series and trying to get to know the A show and the World Report, I think that discussion we just had is a perfect example of why you should be tuning in to watch the A show and the World Report. Just because these conversations where you guys are having these very, very in detail, and actually I didn't even think about some of the things that you brought up, and now I am, and now I'm thinking, oh, okay, maybe I looked at this the wrong way. I think those are conversations that are needed in the wrestling community where, again, everything is just reactionary. Everything is trying to get the first tweet out or the first reaction out. Where I think you guys do such a great job of actually having critical thinking and actually talking about, okay, why is this happening? Let's go back and look at what happened before and it actually teases before. Like, I think you guys do a great job of breaking down wrestling week to week. And not only that, I think you guys do a great job of handling the tough topics where you're gonna get killed. You're gonna get a lot of people hating you, a lot of people talking, trying to, like you said, threaten you online. But I think it's necessary because you guys give a very good opinion and give detail behind it instead of just being reactionary.
I think that's something that I learned being part of this network was not being so reactionary. Now I am big on just wait till the details come out. Everything, the truth will always come to light. So don't think of something like the worst possibility.
Yeah. I mean, more than that, like we're advocates of these voices. You know what I'm saying? Like I think I came on Twitter and said I don't feel like we don't get enough respect on our name. That's why I was like very blessed that a lot of people said us for this series. You know what I'm saying? And thank you to everyone that tweeted and put out your support for us to be here, because it's important to have these voices. We've always advocated for Black voices within the wrestling community because there needs to be more, but it doesn't need to be at the expense of another. You know what I'm saying? We don't need to crap on someone else to get where we're at. Everyone's on their own path. Like, we love Black Announce Table, what they're doing. We love Black wrestling and what they're doing. There's more Black podcasts out there. These are the only podcasts that show love to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, it's like we have been around for a really long time, and we've kind of started and set a lot of examples and set a lot of stages. I think it's just time for us to, you know what I'm saying? I think it's more than enough time for us to start getting our respect, So, we want to be the forefront. We feel as though we're the forefront. We feel as though we're the best. I start every single podcast with me and Mills are the kings of pro wrestling podcast. And I really feel that way. And if you don't feel that way, you're doing something wrong.
I do want to add though, with the Black Announce Table and you said Black Wrestling podcast, right? Mm-hmm. I do want to say also, the Public Enemy was another one that when I brought up the A show, and it's like definitely reach out to the A show and definitely do it. So I do want to give them props as well. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that that's again, I didn't know they fucked with us. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times I get worried. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times I'll hit up Mills and I'll be like, you know what I'm saying? Are people not really giving us love because of me? Do I need to step back? Do I need to, you know what I'm saying, stop talking about it so much? And Mills like, no, just do your thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really worry that like runoff of the animosity towards me for tweets, by the way. Nothing I've done to anyone personally, but the animosity from all of that rubs off on Cyrus. It rubs off on Quan and stuff like that. Like I've seen Quan that people have said all types of mean things about him, you know, in service of like
you tweet too much. That's why.
I do
tweet too much. That's why.
Tweeting too damn much.
Shut the hell up.
I do. I ain't
But
oh my god,
I get what you're saying. Like we I think that, and shout out to Graham from Public Enemies podcast. I do think that we should be getting a lot more just togetherness in this wrestling community, especially in the wrestling content community, for Black content creators as well, just because of just how it's still fresh. I think we're still really fresh in just Black wrestling content creators talking publicly and having success.
Yeah.
And I feel like just now we're starting to get people, getting deals and being successful. Shout out to Jobbers Tears with what they're doing, having their own wrestling show coming up. Black Announce Table doing what they're doing with their deals.
Blue Wire, shout out to them in Blue Wire. Yeah.
Black Wrestling, Public Enemy, there's a bunch of them. I could just go on and on. But like, again, that wasn't a thing about 5 years ago when we're talking about just popular Black content creators. So I do believe that, I think it's always good for competition, but I think coming together and putting out the great content and being united is really where we're really going to blossom as content creators.
We belong next to Observer Weekly. We belong next to Figure Four. We belong next to the Jericho podcast. We belong next to all these people because we putting out content weekly. Yeah. And I think that for as much as I think that there is like a sense of there's a lot of like fake like activism within the community. I never really said it out loud, but it's just like there are a lot of people that say, okay, where's the support for us go? You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like as Black people, we all do support each other within podcasts, but I don't feel like there's enough like people within the space that support us.
And I think that's really important because I saw something, this weekend where it was just like, we form or, we're having a very large Black community within the wrestling space now, but then you get the runoff for like people who are getting more clicked up or like, just like special friend groups, and they're like kind of barring themselves off from the community. And it's just like, it doesn't have to be that way. We could disagree with one another, but you could still be part of this group where we all shout each other out and still, have respect for one another. But it's just the weird like tribalism thing. That's the new word that's going around that has, started these cliques rather when we could have just been people that were just like cordial with each other.
Yeah. I hope to see a lot more. I think I brought up not too long ago. I brought up why not do a versus between podcasters? Like why not do
Black Pod Connect.
but seriously, like I think I brought up a tweet up not too long ago where it's like, why not for like a wrestling show like a WrestleMania or SummerSlam or whatever? Why not do a podcast versus podcast prediction where like whoever has the best prediction of the event, who knows their wrestling, one, it shows, and then two, it has that unity where it's like we're kind of going against each other.
We got some
cooking.
Gotta
cut that out.
Yeah, we got some cooking. Don't worry, we got some cooking. Don't worry. Listen, we like this. We like this. We see you. We hear you, and it's definitely something. We love to work with Black wrestling. We love to work with Black Announce Table. We would love to work with anyone. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So,
I believe
go together.
I believe one of the ideas we had was like wrestling trivia. And I was just like, send Quan. Don't send me, bro.
That'll be dope.
I've been, I've been a fan and watching for a really long time, but I can't tell you a damn thing about 2017. My memory does not go that long, that far. But yeah, I love all the other wrestling pods out there. To myself, I'm kind of reserved, but I would love to work with all these other like Black wrestling podcasts.
Absolutely. And not just Black wrestling. I would love to see like, why not Conrad or why not, be able to work with, what I mean? But like, why we scoff at that? Why can't that be a thing? Why can't?
Well, Conrad and I had like a real contemptuous, like kind of like,
okay.
And it was one of the first moments where I felt like I took a lot of the arrows and I feel like I shouldn't have. It was during the time of StarCast. And they were announcing podcasts for it. And I said, you know, where are all of the African American podcasts? And I said, listen, it doesn't even have to be the A show. You could get Stat Guy Greg there. You could get Kaz there. You could get a lot of people there. There are no people of color at StarCast. You have a show like NXT that at that time had Bianca, the Prophets, everyone there. It was it was heavy with black talent, even people on the come up that were coming up. Like we were more visible at that time than any. And I believe the StarCast account had retweeted me, said something very kind of messed up. And I had for weeks people coming after me, people from fucking Alabama and you know what I'm saying? No offense to them, but like sewer dwellers, if you will, like just coming at me. Wow. And Conrad and I had a conversation in the DMs. You know, I'm very close with Wale. He's one of my good friends, and he was like, "Well, I tried to call Wale, and you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, well, listen, this don't got nothing to do with Wale. He don't host a podcast every single week. You know what I'm saying? Who's to say if he would ever?" And I mean, I think even me and him got an argument about it, but it was like, I'm willing to fight and risk so that other people get that opportunity, regardless of what y'all saying about me. You know what I'm saying? Behind closed doors, regardless of what you're saying about me publicly, I really did fight for that. And then what you see next year, they have more black people there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, but they didn't invite us. You know what I mean? So again, it's a sense of just like, you know, I was looking at it like, where's the love at? But at the end of the day, I was like, as long as y'all got an opportunity to do that, that's fine. But I did say something about it earlier this year where I was just like, yo, like a lot of people get invites to this stuff, but not a lot of people talked about it when it was happening in real time, that we were not getting these opportunities until someone, you know, spoke loudly about it. So, but Conrad,
definitely. I bring up Conrad because I see like he has like 1,000 other podcasts going on. I don't see why, you know, a black content creator can't be a part of that network as well and shine off of that too.
I agree.
And I'm not saying that's not saying nothing bad about Conrad. I don't know the guy personally, whatever, but I just would like to see more black content creators get more opportunities in different spaces than being independent. Even I think being independent is great, but I would love more co-signs. I would love more sponsorships. I would love more just unity.
Yeah, because I mean, how many times are you gonna listen to Ric Flair, Eric Bischoff, or you know, love Bruce Pritchard, love his stories rather? Like, how many times are you gonna listen to him talk about shows that we didn't heard stories about? You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna run out. It's like, when is it? When it becomes just like in pop culture, when it becomes trendy to love us, that's when they're gonna call us. When it becomes trendy to love us, you know what I mean? And that's what I fear, because you should have been doing it anyway. Like, I absolutely agree. Someone should be on the Conrad network. They should be on all of these things, but we still getting the same old white dudes. I respect Stone Cold for knowing when to walk back and be like, hey, I done did everything I can do here. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna just do it on TV. You know what I'm saying? Like, we do need new blood. And I feel as though we as a collective, as a community, as a family, we're kind of we're blazing that trail right now.
Definitely. And I think business is good, guys. I mean, like I said, you guys, the podcast is successful. You have the A Show, you have the War Report, you have the Patreon, which we're gonna. How much is the Patreon to get in?
It's just $5 to get into the Patreon. With $5, you get the A Show early. You get the War Report early, so you get them like at least 24 hours before they come out. You also get extra content such as spot callers with myself and Cyrus. We review shows from the past that our actual patrons actually vote on. So this month, they voted for us to watch The Bash 2009, which we're gonna have a real conversation about the show. And I'm gonna have a conversation about the patrons as well when we record the show. Yeah, exactly. We have other content such as Meals is, you know, he has fantastic kind of. Not, I wouldn't even say they're documentaries. They're like investigative shows, right? Up
there.
Let me tell you something. Go ahead, Bills. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'll hype you up, Doug. The Invasion Diaries and the X8 Diaries are some of my favorite podcast series of all time. Even if you're not even like the biggest fan of wrestling, if you want to have a nostalgia kick and something that's just so much fun to listen to, Meals and everybody involved in the network and Meals' friends all just discussing about, you know, stuff that happened in 2001. What was the number one song on MTV's TRL in 2001? And just all this fun, nostalgic stuff. And Meals did so much research on it. And it's just like, it's such a good time. It gets to the point where you're listening to it you forget, like, once they get into the actual wrestling part, you're like, oh yeah, this was a wrestling podcast the whole time. And it's just that much fun of just reminiscing about shit that we watched when we were kids and what we grew up on.
Mm-hmm.
It was just I can't recommend the X8 Diaries and the Invasion Diaries enough. It's my favorite series of podcasts ever.
And then also
What
the
he said.
Discord, all right. You get access
Repeat that?
you get access to the Discord as well with the Patreon.
Yeah. You access the Discord. So there's a $5 tier, there's a $10 tier, there's a $20 tier, and then there's the $50 tier. Not many get to the $50 tier, but we've been gracious enough to have people who got to that tier, and it's been amazing. And they got their merch in the mail at this point now. So yeah, it's crazy.
No, definitely. Business seems to look good. Justin, you just got married. Mills, I believe you just had a spot on Crunchyroll, right? You just did an article, right?
I did something with Crunchyroll recently, interviewed WWE superstar Ricochet. I'm a big anime fan. He's a big anime fan. He just made it work, and it's probably it's like a bucket list thing for me to do. Like, it was awesome.
So I say this all the time. Life is pretty good for you guys, I would say, right?
Yeah, it is, and it's gonna get better. We got new stuff coming up. And that's not to say like what Juan and Cyrus aren't doing is spectacular. They got to sit through Wednesday nights every week. But they to me, some of my favorite content is these two. But I never thought that we would have a second show that is by far as popular as our first show. You know what I'm saying? And clap it up to these two for being consistent and getting a fan base. You know what I'm saying? It just shows that consistency can really means a lot.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna tell you right now. Never in my life would I think people would be in my mentions, in my DMs, asking me my opinion about wrestling and like, why do you care what I have to say? It's to this day. I've been doing the pod for almost 2 years. It still blows my mind. Like, people care about what I have to say. It's the coolest feeling. I appreciate anybody who's ever hit me up talking about something I said on the podcast. I appreciate everything. It's just it's such a strange feeling, but I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be with these guys. And, they let us, everybody just does their own thing. I think that it can only get bigger from here. You know what I mean? I'm just really excited to see what the future holds.
My favorite thing about doing the pod is, of course, all the people that I've met and the conversations that we have. But when people quote stuff that I said on the show, when that pops in my mentions, I like that a lot, because it's just like, you really listened. And that's like, great. You took your time out of your day to do that.
No, definitely. I see what you guys are doing. I see what the World Report is doing. I see what the A Show is doing. What you guys are all doing individually, you guys are having success. Even just the RNC network as well, which Justin, you founded. You have an anime section. You have a podcast. You have sports. You have music with the Black Print, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how the RNC network came to be.
Same way. Everything else, like my thing is this. I came up around, I was always kind of a little brother. Like I was the middle child, and then like I had my youngest brother when I was like 12, 13 years old. So I've been like the baby forever. So I never had a big brother. You know what I mean? So I've always learned from the people around me, the men around me. You know what I mean? So some of my best friends have always kind of instilled in me to pay it forward, and anything that I've ever learned, pass that down to the people that are younger than me, whether it be what I've learned, the things that I'm doing, or whether if someone just needs a helping hand, be that person for them. And I tend to think of RNC as a collective of young Black men that they don't need like tutelage, they don't need to be tutored, but they need to be around like-minded people. And whether we agree or not, you know what I'm saying? We're always brothers. We're there for each other. I mean, we were all there for my wedding. You know what I'm saying? Or not, or most of us. I wish we were all able to be there, but it's like that was the moment that I had been building to create for a while, where it was like, we all are together and we're all having a great time. We're all laughing and having fun. So it literally started as like a group chat. It kind of broke apart from Rasta Rap. I grabbed some people in, some of my closest friends. It was Meals, it was Brian, it was Ty, it was oh my God, my friend Jeff at the time. A lot of people that have been in and out of that chat. And you know what I'm saying, in the past almost 10 years now. You know what I'm saying? So that's crazy too. But it built from that, and we said, you know what, let's make a podcast. You know what I'm saying? And that came from the A Show, and I plug people. So when you get called up, so to speak, to the RNC main chat, that's when you know you made it. And we have like a council of people that I have to talk to where it's like, okay, Mills, are you okay with this person being in? And Mills is like, nah, I don't think this. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have a whole council of people. I don't even know how Cyrus got in. I don't even know how. I think I just
through the back door.
I think I just put Cyrus in.
What is it? It was Wrestle Chat at first. He was just like, oh, just come on through. And then for main chat, I don't know. He was just like, come on through.
I don't think I got Mills's approval for that one, but I just put Cyrus in his chat anyway. But you know, it is what, like, we're literally, to be fair, like, I've never met Mills in person before, ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's something I'm planning on doing. But it's like, this is one of my closest friends. I talk to him every single week, damn near every single day. And I talk to all these guys every single day. So like, these guys are closest to me is my family. You know what I mean? And it's very rare that you can have people from so many, like you said before we got on the call, you got Miami, Connecticut, and it's all cultivated and built like a family. So RNC is really just a family. It's really more than just a group chat, more than just media, you know, media outlet. It's family. You know, that's what I can say it is.
Yeah, and again, like, to have, again, people I feel like now are starting to do it, right? They're trying to now have a network where there's a variety of different shows going on. I feel like you guys kind of started out early on, and now we're seeing, again, you have the A Show, we have the War Report, you have the Black Print, you have the anime podcast you have on there, you have the sports podcast you have on there, and you're also putting other podcasters and content creators on, and which I think people are now starting to do, being more hip to, but you guys have been doing it for a pretty long time now.
I want to put money in my brother's pockets, man. Because again, people put money in my pockets when I really needed it. You know what I mean? Like, you never know. You know, and there was a lot of times, like when I moved out to LA, where I didn't have $1 to my name. You know what I'm saying? And some people reached out and helped me out and got me on my feet. Like, my whole key is to put money and give opportunities to other Black men. You know what I mean? And whether that be through wrestling, whether that be through anything else, like, if you reach out to me, I will, you know what I'm saying? I will try and help you. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel as though that is truly like my goal in life, is to be a positive force in people's lives. And, you know, the loyalty we get don't come from just nothing. You know what I mean? It's shared. It's reciprocal. It's loyalty.
Again, I think that all comes right back around to how we started this whole discussion, just by how the podcast started, and just talking about the passion, talking about the camaraderie. And then we go back into just paying it forward. And I feel, just to give you your flowers now, since I'm on this interview with you, I feel like what you have done with the A Show, putting the RNC together, you know, the War Report, I feel like you have done such a great job of not only helping create content, but you're helping uplift content creators. I think that's very rare that I've seen in a wrestling podcast community, but also just in podcast community period, is being able to help bring up other people and help uplift other people to kind of be, you know, where you was at, kind of help them be better than where you were, and kind of help them succeed. And I feel like, if you haven't got your flowers yet for that, I want to give you your flowers right here, right now, for doing that, because I think what you've done is a beautiful thing.
Thank you. No, thank you. I listen, everybody on this call and everybody that's not on this call, I love them to death. You know what I mean? Like, I give tough love, but it's real love. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's real love. And, you know, my flowers is seeing Cyrus succeed, seeing Juan succeed, seeing Mills succeed. Because at the end of the day, I want them to be better than me. You know what I mean? I went through a lot of stuff in my life. I've been through a lot of stuff in my life. And at the end of the day, you know, I don't want any of them to go through that same type of thing. I want to be able to be like, yo, you can get out of this. I want them to see what I do, and I want them to do that and create their own Meals with the Lookout. I ain't touched none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's been his thing, and I'm so proud of him every single day. What everyone has created based off of this and broken off of this is to know that came from motivation for me or inspiration for me. That gives me the most, because like I said, I've always kind of been the little brother, and I've never really known my purpose in life. You know what I mean? And I've never really known what my true purpose was until I found these guys, until I've seen what they do and I get to listen to them. Because these guys were not thinking about doing a podcast 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? They weren't thinking about
Absolutely not. Oh,
they were not thinking about it. But I said, give it a try. Like one of my friends, Mark, like he was another one where it's like, you know, I saw so much. Again, I see so much in these men, and again, it goes all the way back to when I'm in school and stuff like that. Like, we don't get that enough. We don't get enough people saying you can do this. We don't get enough people saying, if you don't want to do this, what do you want to do? You know what I mean? Like, we don't get that enough. And I think that, you know, besides all of the stuff that gets said, you know what I'm saying? Like, the most important thing to me is these guys in here. You know what I mean? And that's what matters to me. So
definitely. And now we get to, you know, what I would like to know is the future. What is the future for the A Show and for the War Report and for RNC Network?
Go ahead, Mills. Oh no, yeah, oh yeah. Mills got the baby's telling him off right now. Mills is like, I can't deal no more. I think the future is bright. I mean, obviously the A Show is we're building. We just got our merch in. Our merch will be on sale very, very soon, imminently. I would say stay tuned to our account, the A Show RNC on Twitter to know when that date is going to be. So we're going into merch. We're going to be strengthening our Patreon content in the next couple of months. You're going to be hearing you're going to be hearing more from me and Meals. I think a lot of people love to hear me and him talk about pretty much anything. So we're going to be doing more shows together. I would love to be doing more shows with Juan and Cyrus. I feel like I don't talk to Juan enough.
I think me and Justin have done maybe 2 podcasts together, possibly.
Yeah, we don't talk enough. So I definitely want to. I want to be on with Quan more. I think a lot of times people get like, listen, I do be busy, but I don't be that damn busy. Just ask me to be on the damn show.
My thing is that I don't want to put people what I'm going through. You know, like I take the pain and the suffering of watching AEW, so you guys don't have to.
I watched it for a whole month up to Forbidden Door, and I said,
I ain't asking him to do that.
Because I like New Japan, and I said, you know what, I'm good off the year. I'll watch like a one-off for y'all, you know what I'm saying? But like we're obviously gonna be strengthening our content. We're gonna be strengthening our content and making sure that we give people more of a variety to listen to, whether you just love wrestling or love more than that. Like, we want to have, you know, more stuff. Me and Mills had a brainstorm a couple of days ago before we had this interview, and we're gonna have a meeting really soon about a lot of that stuff within the people within our crew. In terms of just RNC in general, the Black Print is doing well. If you have not heard it, please listen to us on AMP every other Wednesday. In fact, we're going to be on this Wednesday. We're going to be interviewing LES, who was he was at Reality of Wrestling. He went viral. He's a Houston rapper. He used to be with Slim Thug. He had a viral moment last weekend. He did like a Hurricane Rana. So it's going to be a little bit of A Show, you know, integration with that as well. So that's going to be really dope. But me and Josh, you know, we are building what we're building with the Black Print is what we're trying to do, you know, what we're doing with the A Show as well. And that's just something that's just on, you know, on the ground level right now. And it's just such a great and positive show. You know, unfortunately, RSBN ended on there with Mark, but you can still listen to Mark on the Black Print. And he has some stuff that he's coming up with really soon. I don't want to like spoil too much of that. I know Mills is doing like 100 things with the Lookout. I don't know if you can say it right now, but the summer at Kame House is blowing up right now. Me and Cyrus actually have a show on that as well. We're talking about JoJo. We need to record that in a couple of days anyway. Of course, Mills has, you know, hundreds of thousands of things. Pokemon's coming out this year, so he's gonna be bringing back Mount Silver. That podcast is something I enjoy listening to. I feel like we're rambling on with so much stuff, but it's so much content.
So much content. God dang.
But it's a lot, and it's a lot for me to keep up with. You know what I'm saying? If I missed anything, you know, for any of our guys listening to the show, Rewriters Room is also going to come back very soon. If I missed anything, I'm so sorry. But yeah, that's our future, man. I don't know what do y'all no, I don't know
for the War Report. Honestly, everything that we're going to be working towards, or that we're going to be putting together, is just production. Honestly, you can hear it now.
No more.
I just want to make the podcast sound better and make it a lot more enjoyable. So that's what I'm going to be doing until our lead up to our 200th episode. 200 of these things. If you would have asked me 2017 when I was unemployed and Justin told me, hey man, come on and just talk about Glow season 2, I believe. Just talk about Glow season 2. I would not think I would have done 200 podcast episodes in that time. It's ridiculous.
200 is big.
Thank you so much.
200 is very big.
Thank you.
again, it's just when you listeners, when you hear the content that these guys are putting out with the RNC network, the A show, the War Report, individual what you guys are trying to cook up. Like you guys are doing great things. A lot. I wonder how your schedule's going to keep up everything, but just the amount of content that you're getting, you guys should tune in.
Absolutely. And thank you for giving us a platform. You know, I just wanted to make sure that like even if you don't like me, you don't have to listen to me. You can listen to Cyrus and Juan.
I like you, man. I like you. This conversation has been very productive, especially just the thing that we've talked about, just going back and forth with the whole Bianca Belair and the qualification situation. Like those are things that I didn't even consider, that maybe the listener didn't consider before.
Yeah.
But now just hearing you talk about it, again, it's what you get when you listen to these guys talk about wrestling. So that's definitely reason to tune in. I thank you guys for coming on. I definitely appreciate it. Definitely, Quan. I know again you were just yesterday, and you thank you coming on short notice. And I know what you guys schedule and what you guys are doing, personal lives as well. I definitely appreciate you for giving me the time.
Thank you. No, this has been a fan. You know, we've been excited for this for weeks now, and I'm glad that we got this opportunity. Thank you to everyone that's listened this long. Thanks to everyone that will check out. If you check it out, you know what I'm saying, really appreciate you. But you know, I just hope that we were able to give you the quotes that you need.
definitely did. Where can people find you guys?
You can find me at OG Johnny 5, obviously at OG Johnny 5. You probably already have me blocked. But you can follow our account at the A Show RNC.
Mm-hmm. You can follow me on the Comeback Spot on Twitter, the Comeback Spot on Twitch. I am going to be back on Twitch at some point. I just got to get my schedule right. But yeah, man, did you follow me on those? I talk wrestling all the time. I do all kinds of dumb engagement farming tweets about nothing.
Most
dumb stuff.
Most infuriating account. As soon as I see Quan say, "How y'all feel about this?" I mean,
fellas, how do you feel about this?
How you feel about Bianca's run so far? Shut up.
You can follow me, Cyrus, CYRUS on TWR. Rarely talk about wrestling on there. I'll probably talk about wrestling for like 5 minutes, but you can really catch me on the A Show Discord talking all day.
And you can follow me at Mills TV on Twitter. And that's really it.
Definitely. And also the Patreon, $5 to get in. The Discord, how much for Discord?
Is it 10?
10.
Yeah, it's 10.
So $10.
But it's worth it, to be honest with you. It's worth it. Trust me.
We have scoops in there.
I mean, we're biased, but yeah, it's definitely like it's worth it for the community and just the scoops and the people that are there. And we got some interesting people that are in the Discord that, you know, people may know that, you know, we don't publicly advertise this in the Discord.
You get that. You get knob with some.
Yeah, there's some people in there like, wow, I'm really like having a conversation with this person right now. It's very interesting.
Whatever. Let's not gas up Greg.
I'm just to say, like, if people in there, I'm like, yeah, exactly. For example, Greg, like that's a guy I used to listen to Cheap Heat all the time. I still listen to Cheap Heat, but like when it first came out, like I was heavy on Cheap Heat. So like even talking to Greg like regularly is really weird for me. But like that's the guy, man. It's a really fun environment. Everybody's cool in there, man.
Come on, act like you've been here before. You're a
I haven't been here,
Greg.
Man.
You're a star, bro. It's just Greg.
It's just Greg.
He's a nobody.
Not the Greg.
Really a nobody.
But the Patreon, the link is patreon.com/the A Show RNC.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you guys for coming on. I definitely appreciate you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Signing off. My name is Tyrese Simon here with the A Show and the War Report. Have a nice day, guys.